Let's say that on paper you've got every single thing that you need to blast right through your quota. Your pipeline is full to the brim with leads, your product solves a legitimate buyer problem, plus everyone who gets on the phone with you, well, they're happy to chat. And yet, well, maybe you're still struggling to close deals. Even worse, your sales leads seem to be getting cold the minute that you start the conversation. So what is the problem? The problem is that you're not building proper rapport before popping the closing question, and your monthly numbers and your yearly commission checks are going to be hurting because of it. So in this video, we're going to go through each of the steps you need to build rapport the instant that your leads jump on the phone with you. We're going to be running through 4 simple steps that you can start taking today, right now, to up your rapport game to the next level. We're also going to go over a few examples along the way so you can see all of these steps in action. Hey, my name is Will Barry and I'm the founder over at salesman.org, where we make selling simple. Okay, so what is rapport and why does it even matter? So first and foremost, rapport in the world of business and sales, it means trust. It means that the buyer can trust that you are telling the truth. The trust that you're actually going to listen to the customer's needs, and the trust that your product really will solve the buyer's problems. And for salespeople, building trust starts off as, unfortunately, a losing battle. Indeed.com found that only 3% of buyers trust salespeople. 3%? That is crazy, right? So we're always working from a deficit here. So it's clear then that salespeople like you need to work extra hard to build rapport, because truth be told, you're likely starting off this conversation with someone who's already skeptical of your motives and why you're trying to communicate with them. So how can having better levels of rapport lead you to get more deals done? Well, first off, it builds long-term relationships. And because the purchasing process for B2B buyers can be especially long, B2B sales report that it's actually taking longer than ever before to close deals. And importantly, the strength of your relationship, which is determined on the level of rapport that you have with your buyer, is the anchor that keeps these leads from just drifting away over time as deal lengths, as cycle lengths get longer and longer. Next up, rapport opens the door to understanding the buyer's needs. Now, there's lots of corporate jargon in the B2B sales world, and cutting through all this synergy to speak truly to an individual, to understand their personal customer needs, well, it can be challenging for B2B salespeople. But building rapport with your leads breaks down all of this jargon. The prospect can speak honestly and frankly about the issues that they have, and you can speak honestly and frankly about the solutions that you can provide for them. And finally, building more rapport in your B2B sales role, well, it fuels referrals. And referrals are a salesperson's best friend. Referrals are easier to close. They spend more per purchase and they're way more loyal than any other type of sales lead. The more rapport that you have with your prospects and then your customers when they convert over time, the more likely they're going to throw a few referrals your way. And so rapport is incredibly important in B2B sales. So how do we build rapport? Well, there are 4 simple steps. So now that we've determined why building rapport in the sales process is so important, let's dive into how to do it. Now, there are 4 simple steps to build rapport with your potential buyers. Let's run through each one of these in a little bit more detail now. So first off, we've got to find the phatic sweet spot. Now, the term phatic communication describes a conversation that has a social function. Talking about the weather, asking about the buyer's family, commenting on last week's game are all examples of phatic communication. And they're all vital, absolutely vital for building rapport with your buyers. And so it's a bit of a shame then that some salespeople, a lot of salespeople, blow right past this valuable rapport building step. Some salespeople think that since the topic that they're talking about has nothing to do with business, it has no place in the conversation. But in reality, this small talk is the first way that you can show that you're actually interested in the customer and not just the commission. And that, of course, is going to build trust. And also, don't be afraid to talk about yourself as well, because no one likes talking to a robot. Give your potential customers a small window into your life and show that you're a real human being. But of course, be careful about blabbering on about yourself, because no one likes a conversation hog either. So make sure to start off your calls with a minute or 2 of phatic communication questions, and that will get them talking. And let me give you a few example questions here. Now, these are painfully obvious, but me saying them to you in this video is going to get them sunk at the back of your brain so they come out more seamlessly during your conversations. But you could ask your buyers, hey, how was the holiday weekend? And then follow on with, we did nothing but barbecue and lounge for a couple of days straight. How about you? Or perhaps, hey, I heard your team just achieved record numbers last year. What's the secret? How did you manage it? Okay, so the second way that you can build rapport in your sales job is to stay genuine. Now, everyone knows this old, played out cliche about the used car salesperson. He's sneaky, he's slimy, and he'll do anything to get you into one of his crappy used cars today. But do you know what it is about that caricature that leaves people feeling so on edge? It's that this dude can't be trusted because customers can smell a hungry, desperate salesperson from a mile away. And they can tell when you're faking enthusiasm, you're trying to manipulate them, or you're trying to get on the good side. So in a world of perhaps overly skeptical buyers, the only way to build long-term lasting relationships is to be a truly genuine salesperson. So cut the act, cut the bullshit, drop the overly confident persona, and use some of these following tips to stay more genuine on each conversation that you have. So first off, be yourself. Don't give false compliments or present yourself as something that you're not. If you're not interested in this, don't dress, behave, or act like you are just to suck up to a potential customer. And in much the same way, speak on the same level as the buyer. In the words of the famous marketer David Ogilvy, the customer is not a moron. Think of them as your wife or husband. And finally, don't be over the top friendly. That's weird, right? That's the used car salesperson. It could very quickly bring about distrust. Be happy, be sharp, be charismatic, but don't be too over the top. The third way to build rapport fast in your sales role is to learn to listen more. So odds are, like me, you've got the gift of the gab. You're a great talker. And for most salespeople, that's why they got into the business in the first place. And whilst this gift of the gab can undoubtedly come in handy, the art of just shutting up and keeping quiet is actually associated with much better sales numbers. According to revenue intelligence company, my friends over at gong.io, top sales reps spend more time listening than the bottom performing sales reps. Just like any enjoyable conversation, sales calls should be two-way streets. They should be back and forth, right? On one hand, listening more rather than just monologuing and talking random nonsense about the benefits of your product or service, well, it helps your leads feel more valued. And remember, this isn't a race just to get the pitch in there, because if you do that, in all likelihood, the buyer is going to decline the rest of the sales process because they're not in a rush to get most deals done. But beyond that, which is obvious, right? More acute listening lets you fully understand the buyer's underlying needs, the real needs that the buyer has. The buyer is revealing information that's going to shape their purchase decision. So the more of that information that you can take in, the more you can tailor your final pitch to meet your buyer's needs. So if you want to engage in more active listening on your next sales call, just follow this simple 4-step process. Number 1, truly listen to the prospect. Put the pen down, put the paper down, have a headset on so you actually, if you're on a phone call, so you're actually listening to them rather than a phone to your head and looking at a screen. 2, confirm that you heard the buyer correctly. 3, repeat the content back to the buyer, repeat the feelings that they're sharing back to them. And 4, ask a relevant follow-up question to further clarify your understanding of the situation that's just been outlined. And that could be as simple as, why do you feel this way? And the 4th way to build rapport fast on a sales call or in a sales meeting is to start to build on shared experiences. Now, people are way more open to your ideas when they feel like they're on the same team as you. This is why so many salespeople mirror the mannerisms and speech cadence of potential customers, whether you're doing this consciously or unconsciously, because like attracts like. And you can use this human tendency to your advantage by sharing into what we call shared experiences. So early on within your rapport building conversations, lean on your shared relationships. As mentioned before, the overwhelming majority of B2B decision makers start their buying journey with some kind of referral. And this gives you an amazing opportunity to create more shared experiences by bringing that referral, whether that's a piece of referred content or referral from an actual individual, into the conversation. Ask the buyer how they know the referrer and talk a little bit about how you helped this referrer solve their own problems. When you start the conversation in this way and then you use your active listening skills, which we already discussed, you're going to build incredible shared experiences with your buyer. Together, you and the sales lead can then work to further define the buyer's needs and develop a suitable solution for them. You can leverage this shared experience to boost rapport along the way. So let me give you an example of how this might play out between a seller and a buyer. So the seller might say, so what I'm hearing is that your current CRM has worked well for years, but it doesn't have the functionality that you need to carry out the new initiatives that your marketing department has developed. Is that right? Is that fair to say? The buyer might come back with, hey, that's right. So we need a platform that offers the same functionality, but more advanced lead tracking, forecasting, content management, whatever it is. Then the seller can follow up saying, hey, this is great. I think we're on the same page then. It sounds like our platform is going to be a perfect fit. Can I give you a demo? The buyer goes, yep, let's jump in, get the demo done. So in summary to all of this video, building rapport is the same as building the sale. You can't have one without the other. Building rapport is essential for establishing a high level of trust and convincing the lead that your product is the solution to their problem. Because if they don't believe it's true, then essentially it isn't. And when you use the 4 simple strategies that we've covered in this video, you're going to build rapport faster and more effectively than ever before. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not click the video right here and carry on your sales education.